Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Claude Rains stars in an episode of Dr. Christian, and you're wondering where's Jean Hersholdt? You'll hear from him at the end of the show. Claude Rains filling in for Hersholdt as Dr. Alexander Webb in an episode from 78 years ago, June 20th, 1945, The Lady, the Wolf. And we thank you for tuning in. On this Tuesday, this is the 20th day of June, 171st day of the year, 194 days remaining until we get to 2024. The Great Seal of the U.S. adopted on this date in 1782. The 320-ton Savannah became the first steamship to cross the Atlantic on this date in 1819. In 1863, West Virginia became the 35th state of the Union. Happy birthday, West Virginia. 1893, Lizzie Borden, accused of murdering her parents, found innocent by a jury in New Bedford, Massachusetts. On this date in 1967, Muhammad Ali convicted of violating selective service laws by refusing to be drafted.
Mosques set up in the major prisons throughout the United States. In the prisons.
Shortly put, are the black Muslims taking you for a ride?
I said not black Muslims. Muslims.
I beg your pardon. Are the Muslims taking you for a ride?
No, the white people have been taking us for a ride for the past 400 years in America. The Muslims are straightening me up and teaching me the truth and saving my life so that I can see the hereafter. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us the religion of Islam, and I will die for it and give everything. But as far as taking me for a ride is concerned, I've been the one that was taking me for a ride and still taking my people for a ride is the white people.
Tell me, champ, would you have been prepared to go into the army if it hadn't been for the Vietnam War?
No, under no conditions do we take part in wars to take lives of other humans.
The Supreme Court overturned his conviction in 1971, but was banned from boxing for 3.5 years. In 1980, speaking of boxing, Roberto Duran beat Sugar Ray Leonard to win the WBC welterweight championship.
For Duran, a way that I felt I could have beaten. I hit Duran with some shots. He connected back. He threw his best. I threw my best. The best man came out on top.
In a rematch 5 months later, Leonard would pummel Duran in what came to be known as the No Mas fight, regaining the welterweight championship. In 1990, Nelson Mandela landed in New York City to begin a United States tour.
Our vision of a democratic South Africa is a society free of all forms of racism and sexism. Until apartheid is ended, neither ourselves nor the international community can afford to lower our guard.
Mandela's world tour would increase the momentum toward his selection as South Africa's first black president. Passing away on this date in history, crime figure Bugsy Siegel, Howard Johnson, the man behind the restaurant chain, Four Tops Lawrence Payton, author and moderator Clifton Fadiman, also electrical engineer, Nobel Prize laureate Jack Kilby, and painter Leroy Neiman, all passing away on this date in history. Among those celebrating birthdays on this date, those not still with us include actor Errol Flynn, guitar player Chet Atkins, actor Martin Landau. He did a television show called Space 2000, I believe, and but probably best known for his time in Mission Impossible. Also, actress Olivia Dukakis, actor Danny Aiello, and John Mahoney, Frasier's dad, on the TV show Frasier. Now, still with us on this date, Beach Boys' Brian Wilson, 81 today. Also, Anne Murray, 78 today. From This Old House, Bob Bia.
This is the carriage house that we've been looking at, and this is the side porch that we're expanding into the kitchen space itself. The breezeway would be a simple connecting space between the two of them with a lot of glass included. This is the breezeway. It's just a square structure. And then the little addition I was just talking about is the green shaded space. And it actually incorporates the two existing porch posts into the interior of the space. This is a real interesting treatment for this whole condition.
Bob Villa celebrating his birthday today. He is 77 years old. Villa, not doing much these days as far as the media goes, spent 10 years with This Old House, then until 1989 and 1990 until 2007. He did his own show and has done a number of other things, mostly of a commercial nature since, the time he was with This Old House, it was, a PBS show at the time, and then went on to do his own commercial ventures. Not a lot that I can see in the video realm, although he does have his web page that is still active, which is bobvilla.com. This Old House, it's still around. It, in fact, is owned now by Roku. And you can select This Old House and Ask This Old House episodes and specials on not only Roku, but also imdb.tv. I think that's now Freebie, Amazon's Freebie. PBS.org and the PBS app, NBC Universal's Peacock, Comcast Xumo, Viacom's Pluto TV, Samsung TV Plus, Fox Corp's Tubi, and Vizio Smart TVs, and of course, YouTube. Yes, streaming television is replacing over-the-air television. That's a fact. It's happening. Let's see. Other people who are celebrating birthdays today, Lionel Richie is 74. From Roseanne and the Big Lebowski, John Goodman's 71. Duran Duran's John Taylor is 63 today. Nicole Kidman, 56. From One Life to Live and Sonic the Hedgehog, Tika Sumpter is 43. From Curly Sue, you remember that old movie? And she actually was on season 10 of The Voice. Allison Porter, 42. From Superbad, Christopher Mintz-Plasse is 34. And from Empire, Soraya McNeil is 28. Those are just a few of the people celebrating the 20th day of June as their birthday. And if this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
And from 78 years ago, June 20th, 1945, Jean Hersholdt as Dr. Christian. Well, he'll be in part of the show at the very end. Claude Rains filling in for Dr. Christian today is Dr. Alexander Webb on the Dr. Christian Show, and the episode The Lady, the Wolf, and that's up next on this Tuesday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Am I confused enough? Are you confused enough? We'll see. Thanks so much for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now we go to Wednesday, June 20th, 1945, an episode of Dr. Christian starring Claude Rains sitting in for Jean Hersholdt, June 20th, 1945.
Dr. Christian's office? Yes, Judy speaking. Oh, Mrs. Redmond, how are you? And how do you like being a grandma?
The Vaseline program presenting a new prize play called The Lady and the Wolf by Robert Foster of Brooklyn, New York, starring Claude Rains as Dr. Alexander Webb and Helen Clare as Judy Price.
Well, I'll bet your daughter welcomes your help. New mothers have to be nervous at first. You say the baby cried a lot? Oh, I see. His skin was irritated. Well, naturally he cried. And you used Vaseline petroleum jelly, Mrs. Redmond? That's just the thing. Yes, indeed. Vaseline petroleum jelly certainly does bring soothing relief to baby's touchy, chafed skin, especially in the little folds of skin where clothing always rubs. Oh, yes, very gentle. That's what all the mothers say. And Vaseline petroleum jelly is so pure and so safe, you can use it just as generously as you wish. And besides soothing baby skin, Vaseline petroleum jelly forms a protective film to help keep out infection when the skin is broken. Oh, indeed, it does promote healing. Oh, it's ideal. And one thing more, Mrs. Redmond, it's fine for grown-ups, too, when their skin is irritated. Keep an extra jar on hand. Oh, don't mention it. Drop in and see us sometime. Goodbye.
The announcement of the winner of the $2,000 Dr. Christian Award for 1945, which was to have been made last week, has been postponed until the return of Jean Hersholdt, who is in Denmark on a special mission for the America-Denmark Relief Society. We hope to hear Mr. Hersholdt's voice bringing you greetings direct from Copenhagen, Denmark, at the close of tonight's show. Meanwhile, we have a delightful comedy for you called The Lady and the Wolf, with the famous motion picture star Claude Rains playing Dr. Alexander Webb and Helen Clare as Judy Price. This story contains a novel character, ladies and gentlemen. He isn't human, he isn't visible, he never breathes, and he never eats. Yet he talks. Oh, how he talks. Here in the studio, we call him Filter, a curious guy who sneaks into the minds of people and tells you the thoughts they're thinking, as you will discover when you meet him. As the scene opens, we find Dr. Alexander Webb and Judy in a mellow mood, with Dr. Webb looking forward to a few hours of chess at his club, and Judy with time for a date, if she had a date.
Much more to do, Judy?
Just this medical article you want mailed tonight.
Oh, yeah, there's the deadline.
Then I'll put this typewriter to bed, warn the telephone to keep quiet, and home I go.
Swell. I'll leave the club in an hour.
Oh, what a grand night. For a grand night.
And one Arab said to another Arab, have you a date?
Oh, this isn't worth a fig. Nope, looks like a lonely, lonely evening at a movie. Oh, quiet, you. Dr. Christian's office.
Hi, beautiful.
I beg your pardon, mister.
Okay, you can have it. This is Jerry Mitchell.
What a silly reason to waste a nickel.
Oh, honey, throw away that ice. I'm the tall, dark, and woo-woo that my friend Tony wrote you about, remember?
Sorry, mister, I don't recognize your howl at all.
Oh, listen, sister, my pal...
Furthermore, I feel proud and honored to announce that I don't know any friends of yours.
Well, I know all my friends, and you're darn right.
Who is it, Judy?
Oh, some fresh guy. He sounds like a one-man wolf pack.
Oh, telephone match. Well, hang up on him.
I'll tell him off first.
Good idea. Teach him a lesson.
Honest, Snookums, didn't Tony thrill you about his pal with the wavy blue eyes and twinkling red hair?
Just watch me burn him up, Doctor. Oh, Tony! Why, yes, now I know.
Ah, now you remember.
He promised to send me a trained pet, a skunk or something.
Whoa, lady, whoa.
At a girl, Judy.
I'll give this smart boy the business wait and see.
Pour it on thick, the telephone menace.
Oh, honey, that last blockbuster has me rocking.
On the edge of a cliff, I hope. Goodbye. That boy has more crust than a pie factory.
Well, I bet he won't bother you again.
Now to finish this article.
I'll take it, Judy.
Oh, I'm closer. Dr. Christian's office.
Hi, beautiful. Take 3 guesses.
Oh, here I die again.
Is that pest still pestering you?
Now, what do you say, Lemon Meringue? Couldn't you pinch hit for a guy?
Sir, you're speaking to a lady.
Lady, you're speaking to a wolf.
Oh.
Who's winning, Judy?
Well, he took that round, but I'm still punching.
Well, give him a haymaker. Hang up.
You know, honey bunny, I'm wonderful. I'm witty. I ooze with personality. I never eat peanuts at the movies.
Is this tripe necessary?
You know what a pretty girl said to me only last week?
No.
Oh, how'd you guess?
I pictured myself in her place.
Now, look, don't be antisocial.
Who's antisocial? Some of my best friends are people.
Well, how about me, Cherry Jam?
I said people.
Look, as one Arab chortled to another Arab...
How about a date tonight?
Huh?
Doctor, I've got an idea. I'm going to fix this boy, but good.
But shooting people is against the law, Judy.
You're sure of that?
Well, that's what I once heard on the radio.
Well, I know something better. Just watch my smoke, Doctor. Darling.
Ah, music.
I just can't resist you any longer.
Well, then let yourself go.
Why, Judy.
Your voice is so magnetic, so charming, so thrilling.
Now you're talking sense.
Good heavens, what's happened to the girl?
That old black magic has me drooling under your spell.
Oh, don't overdo it.
Judy, you sure you feel all right?
Watch me give this roaming Romeo the business. Grab your wings, my love, and fly to me.
Oh, boy.
It's the big white house, corner of State Street and the River Road.
Judy, it's this address.
Don't worry, Doctor, I'm not through yet.
Yeah, that's what frightens me.
I'll be over in 2 shakes, Candy Mint.
Oh, swell taffy drip. That'll give me time to change my wig.
Change your which?
And especially for you, I wear my new teeth.
Hey, wait a minute.
Ha-ha! A light begins to dawn.
Hey, you're kidding, aren't you? I mean, you're not really Frankenstein's sister.
No, of course not, plum pudding pie. That gal's a bag of bones. I'm solid.
You're what?
300 pounds of sweetness and roast beef.
That'll fix him.
Now, see here, little girl.
Of course, I can't dance much account of I'm bow-legged, but you'd hardly notice my pop eyes in a dark movie.
Wonderful, Judy, wonderful.
Yumpin' Yiminy, yay.
Hurry over, you tall, dark, and woo-woo. Won't you all?
Now look here, madam. Let's not do anything hasty.
Go on, keep on going, Judy.
Maybe you're too young to be dating with a strange guy.
Young? Oh, dearie, I've got a granddaughter in burlesque.
You have? Well, maybe you better give me her number.
Nothing doing, Tootsie Wootsie. You're mine. All mine. Hurry right over, chocolate custard.
There's a lot of nerve trying to make a telephone tape with somebody he's never even met.
Yes, a worm in snake's clothing.
Wonder who that is.
Oh, this promised to be a quiet evening.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm looking for a 300-pound dream girl with cowboy legs, go-thither eyes, and a detachable toupee.
You must be that Jerry person.
Uh-huh. Spoken like a sincere enemy. Oh, brother, I hope this cutie is the right cutie.
Hold on to yourself, Judy. This boy's the handsomest thing that was ever poured into a junior gray lieutenant's uniform.
I must help poor Judy to get out of this.
Yes, I'm Jerry Mitchell. You sounded so friendly, I just had to come over.
Did you say friendly? Well, enter. The name is Judy Price.
Oh, thanks, Judy. Oh, them eyes, them nose, them gal.
Oh, don't lose your grip, Judy. Blue eyes, curly red hair, and what shoulders.
Just look at Judy's expression, such loathing and contempt.
Lovely weather, isn't it?
Oh, how cleverly you express it.
I bet this pulse stopper could make a dance floor dizzy.
What Lieutenant Jerry could do to a hunk of rumba must be out of this world.
Judy can control herself and not throw the typewriter at him.
You know, Judy, you had me licked at first. But suddenly I realized that it must be a gag, so I kept my fingers crossed and took a chance on coming over. I wonder why that old gink over there keeps scowling at me as if I were the 7-year plague.
Oh, I wish Dr. Webb would stop glaring like a frog with a toothache.
Now, just keep on smiling in this pleasant, friendly manner until Judy kicks him out of the house. But if you only knew what I'm thinking.
Well, Jerry, I want you to know my boss, Dr. Webb.
A real pleasure and a privilege to meet you, sir.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine, all mine.
He's full of castor oil.
Fresh young twerp.
Sour-faced old grouch.
Obnoxious upstart.
Hooray, they're beginning to like each other.
I hope you folks won't mind my impudence, but here I am on the last night of my leave, and until this happened, it's been as exciting as falling into a coffin. Oh, I give you my word, I don't make a habit of pestering strange girls. I hope you'll forgive me, and let's be friends, at least for a while.
Well, what else can I say, Jerry? Poor lonely boy. Dr. Webb thinks I'm going to turn stuffy and mid-Victorian with this handsome hero. His diagnosis is 100% wrong.
Judy thinks I'm okay, but she's afraid of this old goat here.
I just wonder what sort of insulting names he's calling me to himself.
Well, Judy, my grandmother gave me a pair of ducats for that piano concert at Town Hall.
Really?
Yes, but on the other hand, I hear anonymous rumors about a sweet dance band at the Savoy Grill.
Really?
So, name your dish. If she picks that mopey piano pounding, I'll bite my tongue out.
Phooey on the concert when I can spend a whole evening looking into those eyes.
Here's where Judy hits him with a typewriter, I hope.
Well, Jerry, let's investigate those rumors about the dance band.
Good gravy. Do I hear what I seem to be hearing?
Dancing. Swell, Judy. Now, please don't break my heart by telling me you've already had dinner.
Okay, I won't tell you.
Oh, swell. Everything is swell. Am I right, Doctor?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, indeed, yeah.
Why, you sly old liar, you're about to toss a fit.
Is this a nightmare, or is Judy gone stark staring mad? Is she really going with that brazen telephone Casanova? Oh, I get it. Hold on. Why, yes, the poor child is waiting for me to come to the rescue.
Oh, I do hope Dr. Webb doesn't butt in now.
I must act fast.
At least it's nice of the old walrus to keep his 2 pennies out of this.
Don't worry, Judy. I'll get rid of him yet. Judy, please come to my file in the other office. There's something I can't find.
Oh, certainly, Doctor. Back in a moment, Jerry.
From June 20th, 1945, Dr. Christian with Claude Rains sitting in for Jean Hersholdt on this Tuesday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The news from 78 years ago today. But first, these messages from your favorite radio station. Just going to take a minute here to tell you about the big savings going on now, the clearance sale at mypillow.com. And you know, I've talked about how in my office I have a pair of my slippers, and they're really comfortable, and they're on clearance right now. The mypillow.com slippers, $25 a pair, limit 10. And I would buy 3 or 4 more pairs. Unfortunately, they're out of my size. They also have sheets, pillowcases, clothing items, all on special right now. Go to mypillow.com, click on the clearance tab at the top of the page, use my promo code Wyatt, or call 1-800-928-4715. Limited sizes remaining in the MyPillow slippers, limited colors on other items. mypillow.com, clearance tab, promo code Wyatt, 1-800-928-4715. Thanks for tuning in on this Tuesday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. I want to take just a moment to thank our friend Jimmy in Boston. I have thanked him for this before, but I haven't had a chance to thank him for it. He found a copy of the novel Dr. Christian's Office, written by Jean Hersholdt and Ruth Adams Knight. And the information in the back, of course, Jean Hersholdt, we've talked about his career many times. Ruth Adams Knight, though, a highly successful radio scriptwriter who started her career as a newspaper woman during the last war and has since done every variety of writing, short stories, drama criticism, juvenile books, a novel, and a book about the opera. And she also works for the Writers' War Board and does the Dr. Christian scripts in addition to other high Crosley shows. So, you know, a well-written book, I hope. I haven't read the book yet, primarily because I need to get it preserved. Because it's a nice book, it's a keepsake from Jimmy, and I appreciate him sending it. And the really neat thing is that, you know, it's not an expensive book. It is basically wartime paper, so it's very thin and fragile, and I want to get it preserved before I even attempt to read it. But the interesting thing is the book is priced anywhere, Abe Books, from $3.49 to $250. I don't think this one's worth $250. But, Jimmy, it was a nice thing, and thank you so much. Now, we are listening to Dr. Christian. Jean Hersholdt isn't on this week's show. Well, he is at the very end. But we're listening to this episode of the show as it was originally broadcast Wednesday evening, June 20th, 1945. In the newspapers of that Wednesday, 78 years ago today, these were some of the headlines. A United Nations Conference Commission last night voted unanimously to bar the Franco government of Spain from future membership in a new world organization. The commission, after a cheering, laughing session, approved a Mexican proposal to write into the conference records in connection with charter provisions on membership an interpretation barring governments set up with Axis help. Mexico and France, one a descendant and the other a next-door neighbor of the old Spain, led the attack on the Franco government. The dramatic scene was the formally arranged and brilliantly lighted Opera House in San Francisco. The principal characters, Luis Cuentia, former Mexican ambassador to Moscow, and Joseph Paul Boncourt, former Prime Minister of France. President Truman yesterday proposed to Congress a change in the presidential succession law under which House Speaker Sam Rayburn, Democrat of Texas, instead of Secretary of State Edward R. Stennis Jr., would succeed him in event of his death or disability. Some members enthusiastically endorsed the plan and predicted that the necessary legislation could be passed before Congress starts its summer recess, tentatively scheduled July 10th. Others flatly rejected the idea. General Dwight D. Eisenhower being acclaimed in this country today as the brilliant, modest soldier who led the Western Allies to victory in Europe. To many of Europe's leading political figures, he is much more. According to Virgil M. Pinkley, writing for United Press, they regard him as the greatest single hope for handling the German problem properly and developing a genuine spirit of cooperation between the U.S., Great Britain, and Russia. Those who know General George S. Patton, Jr. and the trust Eisenhower puts in him hope that the two will team up in the vitally important occupation of Germany. American troops have uncovered a vast Nazi treasure hoard valued at $5 billion, including the main national wealth of Austria and Bavaria, and loot stolen from death camp victims and desecrated churches. Announcement of the find was made by Command Zone headquarters in Paris and was based on information from the U.S. 12th Corps, whose troops discovered the treasure. Most of it was in securities, and Zone headquarters said it lacked information as to how values were estimated and whether they were face values or actual current market worth. Japanese troops died by the hundreds today on widely separated Pacific war fronts as American forces battled fanatical Nipponese last-ditch defenders of southern Okinawa and swept into new sectors of the northern Philippines. Japanese disaster on Okinawa was almost complete. Marines and doughboys backed the desperate remnants of the hopeless pockets. Some fought doggedly, but as defense positions collapsed, many of the trapped Nipponese chose death by leaping off cliffs, fronting on the southern coast of Okinawa. Elements of American powerful Pacific Fleet, led by battleships and cruisers, threw tons of hot steel into the southern Okinawa traps. 4 million persons lining 38 miles of streets to the world's biggest city concentrated a joyous, full-hearted sense of victory upon General Dwight D. Eisenhower yesterday in what must have been the most massive and most sharply focused adoration of a living man ever. No Roman conqueror could have received the tributes of so many, or a tribute so poignantly eloquent as overwhelmed the Supreme Commander who fashioned the Allied victory over Nazi Germany for 12 hours from 10 a.m. until midnight. No Roman conqueror commanded a people's army as this man did, or made triumph principles generally held by so many. Thomas R. Henry, Evening Star war correspondent, reported in a dispatch yesterday, "On arrival at this place, I found the gate guarded by 2 German sentries. I stood shivering in a cold hailstorm, envying the warmth of sulfur-smelling flames of open fires, whose blazes lit the somber sky." The dispatch was deadlined Hell, Norway. And in Philadelphia, Philadelphians no longer will be able to pass the time of day feeding pigeons in city park squares and public parks. A death sentence banded down yesterday for all of the city's pigeons because laboratory tests show them 35 to 38% infected with a halitosis-like virus causing parrot fever. Those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Wednesday, June 20th, 1945 on your radio. Dr. Christian. The conclusion follows these messages on this Tuesday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Arch Obler's Plays for America on Wednesday's Classic Radio Theater from 81 years ago, June 21st, 1942. Adolf and Mrs. Runyon, starring Betty Davis and Hans Conried. A woman driving on the Boston Post Road picks up Adolf Hitler, who's hitchhiking. That'll be coming up on Wednesday's Classic Radio Theater, anytime, classicradio.stream. Now the conclusion of Dr. Christian, Claude Rains sitting in for Jean Hersholdt from June 20th, 1945, 78 years ago today.
What's the matter?
Judy, I know a way out.
Out of what?
How to get rid of this nuisance.
I don't want to get rid of... And he's not a nuisance.
What? Judy, what are you saying?
Oh, I realize that it all started out with all the earmarks of a Bell System romance.
Exactly.
But this boy's different. He's lonely. And it's his last night in River's End. And he's done so much for his country. And...
Judy, you amaze me.
Crushing his morale wouldn't be patriotic.
Oh, so now it's patriotism.
Certainly. He's in the Navy.
Oh, my dear child, if they're not in the Navy or the Marines, you find them up in the wild timber country.
There's really nothing wrong in it.
I'm only thinking of the principle of the thing.
And I'm thinking of that heavenly profile. I mean, oh, can't you see? He's just a lonely kid.
Very well. Well, Judy, I'll say no more.
Thanks for the interest, but I'll handle it all right.
See here, Doctor, since we're not using the tickets to the Rachmaninoff concert, maybe you'd care to go.
Rachmaninoff never interested me.
Well, they say it's pretty hot stuff. I mean, he's the world's greatest pianist, and the house is sold out.
I abhor piano concerts.
Well, I'll leave them on this table anyway, in case you change your mind. Hey, I'll help you with that coat, lady.
Oh, thank you, Jerry. Well, good night, Doctor.
Good night, sir. It's been a great pleasure meeting you, sir.
You all sourpuss? Good night, Lieutenant. I hope to see you again sometime.
Face downward in a puddle of mud, you sheik.
8 o'clock. My. Well, time to start for the club. I mustn't be unfair to Judy. A kind heart rules her head, but still a telephone flirtation. Wonder what she'd say if I did a thing like that. Oh, well, just picture me doing it. Well, who can that be? Hello?
Hello. I wonder if I can still buy a ticket for the Rachmaninoff concert.
What? Well, why, I believe you've got the wrong number. This is Dr. Christian's office.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I want the town hall.
Oh, wrong number. Say, just a minute.
Yes?
I've just been told that the concert is sold out.
Oh, dear.
However, somebody left a pair of tickets in my office. Nobody's using them, so they're yours if you say the word.
Why, really?
Oh, come now, they're absolutely free.
But it's not quite ladylike.
Nonsense. Be ashamed to stand on ceremony and let two front seats remain idle. I'm sure the sight of those vacant seats will throw Mr. Rachmaninoff off his beam.
Are you sure it's really proper?
Oh, definitely proper. I'll send the tickets over by telegraph messenger. Now, what's the address?
Oh, thank you indeed, Doctor.
Dr. Webb, Alexander Webb.
Oh, yes. Well, please have them delivered to Miss Isabel Lee at the Hotel Savoy.
Yes, Miss Lee, I hope you'll enjoy the concert. I'm told it's pretty hot stuff.
I beg your pardon?
I mean, I'll send them right over. Goodbye, Miss Lee. Well, probably some homely old homebody with nothing exciting to do. A concert. Give me a fast, thrilling game of chess any time. Now, let's see. I must call the telegraph office. Hey, hold on. Doctor, you'll be walking by the hotel on your way to the club. Now, you mustn't forget the manpower shortage, so you can drop the tickets at the desk as you pass by. Yes, you can drop the tickets as you pass. Whistle while you work. Whistle while you work. Excuse me, clerk. I'd like these tickets sent up to Miss Isabel Lee.
Oh, why, here I am, Doctor.
Why, here is who?
I've been waiting here in the lobby for your messenger. I had no idea you'd come yourself.
Well, I had to pass the hotel on my way to the club.
Oh, Isabel. He's not one bit as stuffy and dictatorial as he sounded over the phone. And quite good-looking, too.
Well, Doctor, she's not homely at all. Very sweet-looking. Another day over 40, I'm sure.
I hate to see a pair of good tickets wasted with a war on and all that.
A pair? Oh, but I'm going alone.
Oh, nobody to go with?
No, I'm just the lonely lady you read about in books. What a shame to waste a ticket, and it's like Mininoff's farewell tour.
You don't say. His farewell tour.
He's fishing for an invitation, Isabel. You better find a way out.
Good heavens, I hope she doesn't think she can hook me into going.
Oh, and yet, poor lonely man. Imagine spending an evening in a silly club.
Gosh, poor lonely soul. Imagine suffering through the dull piano concert all by herself.
Well, after all, Doctor, there's one extra ticket.
So there is, isn't there?
Don't be a prude, Isabel. After all, those tickets are his.
Stop behaving like a jellyfish, Doctor. After all, aren't they your tickets?
Well, Doctor?
Well, if you think you can tolerate my dull company...
Oh, I'd be honored.
Well, you can accuse us of flouting convention. We're just acting civilized.
This isn't a flirtation at all. We're just acting civilized.
Ready, Miss Lee?
Ready, Doctor? Why, hello, Dr. Webb.
Judy.
Good heavens, what's she doing here?
Oh, we meet again, sir.
Hello, Lieutenant.
Well, shiver me timbers, will you get a load of the sly old fox?
You remember, we planned to have our dinner at the grill.
Right, and now we're on our way to the dance. Oh, brother, here's where I wail the tar out of him. Well, Doctor, this is a pretty snappy game of chess you're having.
Huh? What?
Your chess club, remember?
Well,
The impudence right. Where did you get off with that crack?
Well, it's this way, sir. You left those tickets to that wonderful concert.
Oh, so now it's wonderful,
And my friend, Miss...
the name is Lee. How do you do, Miss Lee?
This is Miss Price, my secretary.
Oh, how do you do?
And Lieutenant Mitchell or somebody.
No, not somebody. Lieutenant Mitchell. I'm glad to meet you, Miss Lee.
As I was saying, Miss Lee happened to phone me, and...
It was the wrong number, you see.
Yeah, never mind that, my dear.
Oh.
Go on, Dr. Webb.
Miss Lee and I are great admirers of Ratskovsky's brilliant technique with the violin.
Oh, but this isn't Raskowski. It's like Mininoff, Doctor.
What? Oh, really?
Yes, really, Doctor. And he tickles a mean piano, not a violin, Doctor. And may I add, sir, that your face is awfully red, sir?
Is it? Oh, well, I happened to shave this morning. Well, we've got to be on our way. Toodaloo, Judy.
Have a nice time, both of you.
I hope you like the highbrow jive, Miss Lee.
Oh, I'm sure we will, young man. Coming, Doctor?
Yes, my dear.
Well, I'll be a cat's uncle.
What do you mean, Jerry?
Talk about brilliant technique. Say, I'll bet it was a tinkle, tinkle, tinkle invented by Alexander Graham Bell that brought those two together.
Why, Jerry, how in your wildest dreams can you imagine such a thing?
Now listen, Sugar, it's just a crazy hunch.
Crazy? It's downright insulting.
Okay, Strawberry Jam, okay. Only
what?
when his face turned that lovely red, a lady was blushing too. And I'll bet a lollipop she didn't shave this morning.
And the curtain comes down on another Dr. Christian prize play starring Claude Rains and Helen Clare. Now we are ready to bring you Jean Hersholdt speaking from Copenhagen, Denmark. Come in, Jean Hersholdt.
This is Jean Hersholdt, talking to you from Copenhagen, Denmark. It is with strange feelings that I have wandered through the streets of this beautiful old city where I was born, and it has made me very happy to find it almost untouched by the ravages of war, which has destroyed so many parts of Europe. But feelings are one thing, trying to describe them is another. But I can say this, however, that no American on a visit to Denmark would ever feel that he was abroad. The two countries are so similar in so many ways. the real democratic spirit, the love for liberty and integrity. Yes, these things are the same both in Denmark and the United States. A few days ago, I had the honor of being presented to the King of Denmark, King Christian X. During our conversation, I told the King how much the American people admired him for the wonderful stand he had taken during the 5 years of occupation. And then I told the King that we in America saw in him the spirit of true democracy. He became deeply moved. And when he found out that I was going to make this broadcast to the United States, he asked me to extend his sincere thanks to everyone over there for what they had done for his beloved country. Denmark has suffered during its occupation. It is short of many things, but luckily it is not short of food. The Danish government and the Danish people is anxious to help other countries with present Danish food surplus. However, the raw material situation is becoming very serious, and speedy supplies such as coal and oil and iron are needed to prevent suffering and to enable them to continue her food production so that she can relieve other countries who are less fortunate. Now I hope to be back with you again next week in New York for our regular Dr. Christian broadcast, and until then I'll say this is Jean Hersholdt in Copenhagen, returning you to New York.
And that was Jean Hersholdt, our popular Dr. Christian, speaking to you from Copenhagen, Denmark.
As it was originally broadcast 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time over CBS on June 20th, 1945, 78 years ago today, Dr. Christian with Claude Rains sitting in for Jean Hersholdt. And now we get an idea of why Hersholdt was not on the show. He was doing, shall we say, some diplomatic work, which is good to hear. Alrighty, we thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. As always, please thank this radio station and support their advertisers. Their kindness and courtesy allow us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite radio station. Your support of this station and their advertisers, and our advertisers as well, ensure that we'll be around here for a good long time to come in the future. Our webpage is classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows there, see where our shows are available via podcast, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can find our social media links, and if you'd like to support us, you can buy me a copy. That Buy Me a Coffee money goes toward us acquiring additional classic radio collections and maintaining our distribution channels. That's at classicradio.stream. Have yourself a great day, and tell all your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.